Crank 'em up.
Let's go.
What's up, folks? It's Brandon Kennedy, Bobby, and Kyle from Chasing Tails. We're at episode 39. We're going to dive into a lot of things race related, putting on an event. We have Katy Norton on with us tonight that put on an event in Guntersville. Her first one works for Lake Guntersville, the town there. So we're going to bring her on and get her thoughts on boat racing in general and putting on an event. Hey, Katy, how you doing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Good.
First off, there is a misconception of how to say your event in your town. We have Bobby that always pronounces it wrong. I don't know if you've caught that on any episode. So, first off, can you tell us how you pronounce it?
So I was born and raised in Guntersville, Alabama, and that's where our race is. It is the Guntersville Lake HydroFest.
Bobby likes to put
Got
an
it, Bob.
H on that. He calls it Guntersville. we work on him on every episode. So let's talk to us a little bit about your background prior to obviously putting on the event there in Guntersville.
Well, I'm in the tourism world. I guess I'm a little different than a lot of other promoters because I'm not really a promoter. I run a tourism office, and so I was doing that before we ever brought the boat races here. I have a journalist background actually, and have done different things in journalism and media my whole life. And then got this job as the tourism director for our county in 2013. So.
Oh, wow. Nice. So besides the boat racing, what kind of things do you guys work on throughout the year?
So have you ever heard of Major League Fishing and the Bassmaster Classic and those kind of events? Well, So Guntersville is known as one of the top largemouth bass lakes in the country. And since I started, we've hosted 2 Bassmaster Classics, and this April we'll have the Major League Fishing Red Crest event here. So we do a lot of fishing tournaments.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm not into fishing. I'm more into the fast stuff.
I got it. Well, if you ever want to catch a big one, this is the place to come.
I might have to try that. And if it comes easy down there, I might try fishing. I don't do it when it doesn't come easy. So talk to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't know the first thing about fishing myself when I started this job. It was kind of humorous, but I had to learn kind of on the fly.
So I guess that leads us into learning on the fly of boat racing. You didn't have a background in that either, and now you're went straight to the top with H1 Unlimited. Talk to us about how that started. Did someone approach you, or is it something you watched and wanted to get involved with?
So you probably know Charlie Wiggins and Wiggins Racing. They are an Alabama-based team, and they came to see my mayor back in 2014, Charlie, and he came with Owen Blauman and Ted Grange, if y'all know Ted, and they came to see the mayor, and she said, "Oh, I don't do this kind of thing. You need to go see Katy." And so they came to meet with me and brought this real pretty hardback book that showed all these figures, and drove up and parked outside my office with a Unlimited on a trailer, and stopping traffic was stopping on the highway, and we met, and I talked to them for a little bit and just asked a lot of questions, and they went home, and the next day I was getting calls and emails. "Are you bringing the boats back? Are you bringing the boats back?" And I'm like, "What?" Anyway, there were a lot of people in our community who remembered that we hosted boat racing for, I don't know, 60 plus years here before it kind of died off in the 80s and got too expensive to host. And so I just thought, well, okay, maybe I will bring the boats back if it's going to have this kind of an impact. And we kind of started from that meeting and just began to ask a lot of questions. We spent 2 years in Madison kind of poking around during their event, asking questions of everybody from the people working the gates to the people giving the pit tours. We raised about $100,000 in seed money, and I went to my board and said, "Hey, we'd like to do this. What do you think?" And we were off to the races, as they say, I guess, from there.
There you go. So
That's really cool.
we talk about you're in the tourism department, obviously, and most race promoters have to then get the tourism on their side to get some of those grants and stuff like that. How much of the economic impact does it have for us boat racers coming there within the town and the restaurants, hotels, all that stuff from what you've seen?
So we've estimated about $3 million in economic impact over 2 days for our community. And to put that in perspective, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. We might have $1 million, 1.5 for a classic or a big sporting event, but none of them bring that kind of dollars to our community. Not just the room nights, of course, but all the people coming from out of state who are eating in the restaurants and buying gas. And it's just a lot of dollar turnover in our community for this event. So
That's awesome.
You boys
That's
wanna
good.
step
That's
in?
good.
So I
That's
stop
good to
talking?
hear. That's good to hear because we don't generally get to hear, the economic impact from our side. So hearing that we actually have a good impact on the town and the city, that's pretty good to hear.
yeah, our community loves the boats. The racers, the families, they've gotten behind. Of course, we started with Unlimited, but listen, there was one year I didn't bring the Grand Prix, and I thought it was going to be a riot. I mean, I had to bring them back. They were having a fit. So they all have their favorites, and the community really gets behind it. We're probably I think we are the smallest town that hosts the Unlimiteds.
Mhm.
Our population in Guntersville is 8,500 people.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So the fact that we raise $500,000 to put on an event every year is a pretty big deal. And our community supports it. If they didn't, we couldn't do it. But most of our sponsorship dollars come from the local community, and our goal this year is the most it's ever been at $300,000 for sponsorship, and we've raised $220,000.
Wow. That's
Wow,
awesome.
That's pretty impressive.
So we're doing
One thing
good.
to say about Guntersville is that the people of the town, obviously the whole race committee, I always give high praise to. That you feel like family when you roll in there. It's everyone, even at City Harbor, just they embrace you being there. It's definitely that Southern hospitality.
Yeah. You speak about our committee, and we're a staff of 3 at my office. And so when we thought we were going to do this, we were like, oh, we got to have help. And we just put it out to the community, and these people just showed up. We had about 30 people show up one night at the chamber, and we had a meeting, and we have a core group of about 12 to 15 people that have literally been with us since that very first year. And, they meet every month with us, and they are the reason this event is successful. They're the ones that show Southern hospitality. They're the ones that, recruit the volunteers and sweat and put fencing up and make sure the pits are clean and that you have everything you need when you get ready to race. I mean, that core group is amazing. And you're right. Like, you experience the family atmosphere, but like we say it all the time. I tell them all the time, I'm like, if any of y'all quit, I'm done. This event's not coming back. Like, I can't do this without this core group.
Yeah, it makes it more fun and more rewarding when you have a group like that as well.
It does. It does.
I
We
see
have a good
over
time
the-
together.
I see over the past couple years, you guys have been growing on the racing side. You added the little outboards a couple years ago, the 350s, and now you're adding another class. And it seems like you guys are shooting for what we always preach for with these unlimited races, is the try to eliminate the downtime on the water to keep the fans intrigued and sticking on the shoreline. Tell us, how did you come about bringing these other classes on this year?
So obviously there's always a a complaint about there's downtime on the water. You know, we're home of NASCAR, and they're used to seeing something moving all the time. And so when they come here for boat racing, they're like, why is it so slow? So there's been a learning curve there that we've, you know, worked with our fan base over the years to try and explain. There's a little bit difference, and we have to crane in and out. And back in 19 and I think 21, we had tunnels, and they launched from the beach and did a really good job of kind of filling in some of that empty time where we're trying to use the cranes to get the GPs in the water and the unlimiteds out and that sort of thing. And then I think 22 might have been the first year that we brought 350s. But what we've seen is that our water tends to white cap. Sometimes if we get a little bit of wind, we'll have rough water. And the 350s were having a hard time running on our water. And so we started talking about what kind of boats could we bring that if we have wind, we can put something on the water for our fans and we don't have to just postpone the racing. And I started talking with some of the leadership at APBA about what were some options. And we got in touch with some offshore folks, and we're now working with the offshore Superstocks, and Ron Beckley pitched it to those guys, and they said yes. So they put us on their schedule. This is going to be the first time that we've run offshore in Guntersville. We have big water, so we think we can handle a 5-mile course, and we're excited. I mean, it's something different. It's something for, you know, all of our anglers are going to love it because it's 350 Mercs. They understand that. They're going to love those outboard motors. And I don't know. We think it might be kind of fun.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah.
And then we're bringing the tunnels. We're bringing the tunnels back too this year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I think it was, I don't remember what year it was, but Detroit had offshores the one year. I've talked about this a couple times, and that was really the only time I've ever been able to see offshores run, and it was really cool to see. I mean, you had unlimiteds running. I think GPs were running that year too, and then offshores, and I think they were running like duck boats and stuff too, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unique to have an event. I think it's like you said, Detroit might have been the only one to have all these classes at one event. So to have inboard, outboard, offshore, it's unique, and it's going to bring a eye opener to Guntersville and people maybe from Florida that come up that follow the offshores, and maybe from Texas that follow the tunnel boats and stuff like that. I do think Texas Tri-Haul should come with the tunnel hulls. That's a big class for us on this podcast after watching them and how they bump into each other and that stuff. But I mean, it's really cool, and it's got to be good for the community to, again, reach out to these different areas of the country and bring people into the town. Because I mean, just coming into the town and seeing the beauty of it, the city harbor, all the different places, Airbnbs you can stay at around the lake. I mean, that's what we need to embrace as racers and show off to all the people back home.
I'm laughing. My husband's like pointing to the trophy behind you, Brandon. What is that trophy back there?
Yep, that's a nice GP trophy from Guntersville this year. So
I like it.
proud to
I
have that
like
one
it.
in the
Can I tell you the funniest story? I had a panic attack right before year one over trophies.
sky.
I mean, I had done everything to plan this event, and I could not make a decision about trophies. And I was so worried that I was going to get some rinky-dink, terrible-looking trophy, and everybody's going to make fun of me. And I was standing in Huntsville at our trophy shop looking at these catalogs of just hundreds of pages of trophies. And I called Ted Grange, and I'm like, Ted, I'm hyperventilating over trophies. He's like, just pick something. I'm like, I can't just pick something, man. It's got to be right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the worst decision.
Nice.
That's the most stressful decision I've ever made in my life was trophies.
Yeah, I could see that because we've had a few over the years that kind of get tossed behind other ones that you're like, yeah, I'm glad I won that race, but I don't think it goes on the trophy case. This one does though, so you did good.
Thanks. Good. Yeah, we did the Atlanta Boat Show in January, and Roger Mahan was very kind to let us have the GP3. And he had Doug pull it down, and Dylan Anderson lives in Nashville, and he has a tunnel, and he brought his tunnel over for us, and we had this huge booth, and we're just really promoting racing in general. We were running videos on a 70-inch screen and just lots of great feedback. But after Dylan and I talked, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll bring it, whatever," he sends me a picture just random on text, and it's his office, and behind him is my trophy that he won at Guntersville. Kind of like, I'm like, oh, I like that piece of hardware back there.
There you go.
Anyway.
So touch on that. You've done a lot of different events trying to promote Guntersville, from Talladega when we went down there with RGP, and
Oh, yeah, that's
obviously the
right. I
boat
forgot we
show.
did that. Yeah.
It definitely turned heads. We had Joey Logano over there looking at it, those kind of things. So that was pretty unique.
Yeah.
But what kind of events do you feel like you gain the most traction to get people down to the race?
So when we first started this process, everybody was like, go to Talladega, racing's racing, everybody loves racing. Well, it's really not the same. And the fan base is completely different. And what we've learned over the past 6-7 years is that boat lovers are who love boat racing. So if you're a boater, you're a boat race fan. Just because you like NASCAR doesn't mean you're going to like hydroplane racing or boat racing in general. And so we've really switched gears on how we market, and we're doing more boat shows in the winter months. We did a big partnership last year. I've always done the shows, but this last year was the first time we really went big. And we did it in Louisville, and we partnered with Madison, and we brought their display hydro in, and we brought Mike Grindell's GP in, and we flew in Andrew Tate and
Jeff Bernard.
and Jeff Bernard. I knew I was going to forget his name. Jeff Bernard in. They were fantastic. They signed autographs all day on Saturday. And that show had 25,000 people just on Saturday through the gates. So, the exposure is huge, and that's our fan base. That's who likes boat racing. And so this year we did Atlanta, just us, because that's more my market. Louisville's if they're going to go to a boat race, they're going to go to Madison over me if they live in Louisville or that general area. So I took that model and did Atlanta. And it was good. We had snow, so the crowd wasn't as big, but the interest was really good, really, really strong. And, Atlanta is one of those shows where they show out all the new, really high-end boats that are on the market today for pleasure cruising and all of that. And so we fit right in with that crowd who was coming to look at that. Yeah, so it was good.
Hopefully it has a good impact on your race. And it'll be
I hope so. Yeah, we're going to deliver some. We did some geofencing, and so everybody who came this year and last year to Atlanta's show will get delivered some ads from us in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It'll run through the end of March, but the hope is when we start selling tickets March 1st that it'll make an impact.
That'll be awesome.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
So what do you feel makes Guntersville special and stand out to other race sites?
I think you touched on it a little bit in that we don't like the word no in our town. So we really like to make sure that all of our race families have a good experience when they come to town. Y'all are our guests. And then on the other side of the lake is our, out-of-state guests who are fans who are coming in, and we want them to have a good time. And so we really try to make sure that on both sides of the house, in the pits and in the event venue, we're taking care of everybody who has either bought a ticket or is connected in some aspect with the race team and, are here to be part of this event. And, my husband runs the pits, and he's told me stories of things breaking and somebody going to somebody's barn and bringing equipment and welders and I don't know what all to fix things. So I mean, we we tend to go that extra mile, and I think that makes a difference.
Definitely.
Mike Grandel wants us to ask
you're-
you about a machine that takes selfies
And how it works.
and how it works.
So you guys have probably been to a wedding where they have a photo booth set up, right? And you take your picture. Well, we brought one of those to Louisville. We brought it to Atlanta too, but we have one of those, and we set it up in Louisville, and people can take their picture. We had it, I don't know, angled so you could see the GP boat in the background. And so they could pose in front of the GP boat, and then they just text their cell number, and it sends them the photo. And we had created some, I don't know, little picture frame things that, digital frames or whatever they call that goes around the photo. And but then we capture all of those people's information. So we're able to send them information about the race. And we did have an incident where, I don't know if we left it on one night or may have had a lot to drink. We were by the Four Roses booth, but there were some body parts on some of those photos we had to delete. But oh well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's definitely something you do not want to leave up at a boat race around boat racers after a day of racing.
We decided we better pack that up the next night. So
Cover it up. Nice. So besides the racing, obviously, go ahead, Kyle. You can jump in now.
I was gonna say real quick back to what you were saying about going the extra mile. I know the year I was there, somebody, I don't remember if it was one of the Unlimiters GPs, but they messed their boat up pretty good. We're doing a bunch of carbon fiberglass work on it, and we're pulling back up to the pits, and the police are rolling in with floodlights to set up to allow them to work into the night.
Who was that?
The only time I've ever seen that at a boat race.
Yeah, I think that our public safety side of the house is fantastic. And I'll tell you this, we approached everybody and said, hey, on the public safety side, fire, police, emergency management, all medical, all those folks, and said, hey, we want to do this boat race. It's going to take everybody. And so they were very smart at the time, and EMA created an exercise. So they deemed it a statewide exercise, which allowed us to access everything for at no cost, because we could access the cell phone towers and the radios and the gators, the light plants, the flashing signs that we put on the side of the road, all these assets that we would have never been able to tap. We were able to tap because it was a statewide exercise. So we actually have every year leading up to this event, we have 3 public safety meetings where people from across the state come, because we have to shut down one of our state highways, going from the event to the pits. And that's done by ALDOT, the Department of Transportation. And, we have Coast Guard Auxiliary there. I mean, we have everybody there. And that's just, I couldn't have done that. Going to them and saying, hey, I need y'all's help was the best thing ever, because they have all those contacts and they were able to bring everybody to the table.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, to
make this work.
Have that support. We talk about it with some of the event stuff we've seen over the years, and that it goes in. You can't go to a place and try to put on an event without having the tourism department behind you, and then the EMTs. And it seems like you have everything there, that everyone jives and works together. It's got to make it 10 times easier than if you had fights with the police and you're begging them to come to the event. So that's awesome to hear.
It makes it too a little different in that I'm not a promoter. So I'm not an individual coming into a community to put on an event and make money. I am part of this community. And, our goal is not to make money. We don't make money. Most of the time we invest in this event as an organization. So I think that makes a huge difference, because, the city gets behind this event because they recognize the economic impact. It translates for them into sales tax revenue and lodging tax revenue. And, and so they want to support events like this, and it highlights their lake in a great way. And just the national publicity that we've been able to receive for our community by hosting this event, it's been huge. So
that's incredible, and we hope we can help with that as the year goes on. Like we talked about, doing some content and just around the lake. Like we said, the lake's beautiful. A lot of different B&Bs around there. It's a great place to go visit and vacation. So hopefully we can show that off this year with Chasing Tails and GPA, like we've talked about before. But leaning back into the police EMT thing you were talking about, how much does that help you? And obviously you had to go through it a couple years ago after the Unlimited final, when a huge storm came through. Having all those people already in place obviously made it easy for you to evacuate the area. But talk to us about the challenges you face with those kind of pop-up storms there.
So yeah, the heat in the summer in Alabama can be very difficult to work around, not just because it's hot, but because of the pop-up thunderstorms. And a couple of years ago when Andrew flipped on that final lap on Sunday on the championship, it was the first lap of the championship race or heat, and he went over. It was our first blowover, and a storm was coming in, and we actually have a trailer that sits on site on the event side of the house with National Weather Service on site from Huntsville. And they called us to the trailer and said, guys, this is no joke. We got to get. And so we just had to call it. I told everybody, we had to evacuate, and our buses, we have a plan in place for evacuation. And I think throughout the day, we run about 20 different buses. So all the buses were in place. They knew we had called them in that we were going to be facing a quick evacuation time as soon as that final race was over. And we had some guys that were in like just small boats that they go out, like rescue boats, that they about didn't make it in. And H1's rescue team had to shelter in place underneath the Causeway Bridge. And y'all, I was truly worried for their safety. I mean, it came through in about 30 minutes, and it was straight line winds. It was hail. It was rain. We didn't have a tornado, but those straight line winds could be just as dangerous. And when we were finished, we had tents in the water. We had stuff across the causeway. I mean, it was a mess. I mean, and they were okay, but if we ever say evacuate again, I don't think they're going to delay in evacuating. I think they're going to get off that water.
Yeah. I think we saw that this year when there was some weather. Everyone's like, okay, we're good to wait. There's no rushing. So do you feel that is why you moved a date earlier, to get away from those pop-up storms and maybe a little less heat?
So there's a couple of reasons. Actually, we decided we needed to move it earlier in the summer because the heat has been over 100 degrees for 2 years in a row, and our ticket sales are going down. And it's not that we're not selling the tickets, but they're not showing up. Like, they're not scanning their tickets in, which impacts food sales, merchandise sales, all of that. And we just think it's too hot. I mean, I'll just be honest. The hardcore fans that are coming from out of state, they're going to sit in that heat. But my local Alabama folks, they're not coming to sit and watch a boat race in 100-degree heat.
Yeah.
And like the 2 weeks before our race this year, it was 80 degrees. So 80 versus 100, that's a huge difference in Alabama. And so, that's something that we considered. The second thing that we considered was in Alabama, and I don't know how it is where y'all are, but in Alabama, if your kids are in band, sports at the school level, the only week they get off in the summer is 4th of July week. And we were bumping into 4th of July week because we were the weekend before the 4th, and Madison was the week after. Yeah. And so when we looked at our ticket sales online, we were losing a huge amount of people from our local audience because Alabama folks go to the beach for vacation and they were leaving town. So that was impacting us, we felt like. And then when we decided to add additional classes, we really tried to really hard, and we worked for several weeks talking about this, trying to negotiate a date that wouldn't be on top of another race that was bringing the same classes of boats we were, because we didn't want to do that. And we had been doing that off and on with GP from a Canadian race, right? And so we didn't want to be in that situation again. We were trying to find a date that there wasn't an unlimited or a GP or a tunnel or an offshore race that we would be competing with. And so we were able to kind of land on this date working with offshore. They have they have the Lake of the Ozarks. They shifted around some things. I mean, we were able to make it work, but there were several different reasons for the change in that race. And at the end of the day, I'm tasked with trying to make this a successful race and not break the bank. Mm-hmm. And, we just really needed to sell more tickets. We needed to grow the event. We needed to do some of these things to see if we could, it's a great event as it is, but, if we want to grow it, we're going to have to sell more tickets. We're going to have to we got to have more bodies to sell more sponsorships. It's just this catch-22, right? And so all of those thoughts went into the decision to move the race.
I think it'll be a huge impact that you move the race, and it's not going to be 100 degrees. Just for us racers, when we're up on the boats working in that heat next to a hot engine, it wears and tears on you all day. But just moving the race to where, people aren't going to the beach that weekend and can actually come to the race, that's going to be a huge impact. And, you add in the extra classes. I think all these three things coming together, I think it's going to be hopefully a huge success this year.
Well, we hope so. I mean, we think the offshores bring a whole different group of fans from Florida. And that's our region. I mean, we're in Florida region. Yeah. So that's a good fit for us. And I have to tell you, I'm learning a lot about boat racing and I went to Reno for the first time for the APBA annual conference. Mm-hmm. That was interesting. But I mean, we want to make sure that people understand that Guntersville Lake HydroFest is a boat race. It's not singularly H1. We've raced all sorts of boats in Guntersville for years. In fact, in the 50s, we had the inboard and outboard national championships with over 100 boats at a time back in those decades of racing. So we've seen all kinds of racing here, and we really want to be an event that has all types of boats showcased on our water. And so getting involved with APBA is that first step. And I think it's been good working with that team there. Dana and some of the other guys and ladies that are there have really been helpful. And it's been good.
Let's be honest. It's all about GP. I'm just kidding.
We do like the noise down here. Yeah. Well, I will say this: GP is great, and Brandon and his family were great to work with when we did the thing at Talladega. And then Roger Mahan was fantastic this year. He was so gracious to bring his boat, and his team were great to work with. And of course, Mike Grindell is one of my favorite people in the world, and he's always willing to, help us and do whatever we want to make it happen. And so we love our GPs, and I can't imagine we'd ever have a race at Guntersville without GPs again. They might tar and feather me and run me out of town.
Yeah. Every time I go to the Ace Hardware there, somebody's telling me how I should run my GP. Like, you need to go to this guy here in Alabama to get this supercharger. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like Googling. I'm like, hey, this guy in Alabama knows his stuff. So they know their stuff down there. They're not just fans, but it's exciting to see all the different things we talk about it here, because obviously we've worked with HRL, APBA, GPA, and H1, just bringing the community of boat racing together. We're not that big. We're not NASCAR. We don't need to fight each other. And I feel like what you're doing with your event, bringing all different avenues of boat racing together, is really unique. And we're going to get to meet, as racers and fans of racing, we're going to get to meet people we don't see all the time or have never met, have seen them race, but we're going to be there in person with them, and they're going to look at our stuff. We're going to look at theirs. It's just really exciting to have that opportunity.
That's definitely going to be unique because you have, I believe, 4 different categories. You have inboard, you have H1, outboard, tunnel boats, and then offshore. So what event can you say that has that? I mean,
Yeah, and we've got stocks. We're bringing John Wadarski's group back again.
Yep.
So we'll have the stocks. They're going to run a marathon here.
Okay. So is that 5?
Yeah, 5.
5
classes.
Of boat racing. 5 classes, 5 different categories. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And to touch on the Grand Prix side of things, it is our kickoff for the GP Challenge again this year, and I believe we're going to promote it a lot better. And the numbers we're seeing for boats, that we keep saying we're not going to promise X amount of boats because we have always over promised and under delivered. We're going to do it the opposite way this year. But I mean, what I'm hearing from being involved with both series, I think there's going to be a lot of Grand Prix down there.
Good. Well, and Tunnel, they announced that we're going to be the North American Championship. I hope I'm getting that right. But they'll get double points. So we expect to see a lot of tunnels here too. We're just bringing the F200 series, the big ones.
Okay.
But I think that'll be good.
Very cool.
Again, that's a lot of your bass boat guys, your anglers have those engines so it's a unique tie-in. Again, maybe you get one of the best. Whoever wins the Bassmasters should come and race a tunnel boat. It's like a special event, end of the day thing. Who can do a beach launch across the lake the fastest?
Well, you know, we have a lot of the pros that live on our lake, and I guess it was a couple of years ago. Chris Lane, he lives in Guntersville, and he's a classic winner, and he came to I spotted him at the VIP area, and I was like, "You want to ride one?" And he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I might." I was like, "I don't know if it'll." It's a lot faster than a bass boat, you know. We've had some people say we should race a bass boat out there with one of those. I'm like, y'all, there's not much comparison.
It would be unique to show the fans that, obviously, if you have a lot of local fans that understand bass boats and how fast they can go, but then compare them to a GP or a tunnel boat or even offshore, it'd be kind of unique to give them that visual, if you could. I mean, there's a lot of insurance things and all that might disallow it.
We can make anything happen, though.
Well, you know, we're excited to have both the tunnels and the offshore with Mercury Motors, and one of our sponsors is one of our local boat dealers, and of course he sells Mercury engines and several of the products that he has at his store. So anyway, Mercury's coming, and they're bringing their huge trailer that shows all their different engines, and it'll be cool. So that'll be in our event venue as an add-on this year.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
So now touching on that, jumping away from the racing aspect of it, the venue you have a kid zone, lots of vendors there. Are there any improvements coming from this year besides what you just said about Mercury bringing their booth?
Yeah, we're adding a little bit of a carnival type, not like with rides, but you know, where you go to the carnival and you play the games and you win the. So wait, what do they call that? I can't think of it.
Just carnival.
I guess carnival games. I can't think of it. Anyway, we're gonna have that, and so we're adding that. We'll have our regular kid zone with the water slides and stuff too. But this year we're also doing a contest. We have a lot of people that buy tailgate spaces, and this year we're gonna let them bring small generators and let them theme their tailgate space. And word is that the winner would get to take a ride in a boat. So we'll see. We'll see. But we're trying to add some fun to the event side of the house to just get people excited about things. Yeah.
We just had someone ask is there any way to open gates for 15 to 30 minutes before the races to let fans come in and check out the boats?
Over. Oh, you mean over in the pits
to like?
They
Yeah,
meant in
yeah,
the gate, Bob.
to get
What's
in
that?
before the racing starts?
Is that what he's asking to get in the
He's
pits?
asking like in the
I think
to
he
get
just means
seats,
like they can get and sit down, and
Oh yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah,
in
yeah,
the fan area.
hmm
he did add first world problems, LOL, at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, our gates will open probably at 8 like they normally do, but usually we don't start. Usually we start right at 8 with testing or qualifying, but that may look a little different this year because we're going to be on the water from 10 to 5 on Friday instead of 2 to 5, which will allow all 5 classes to have water time on Friday to do some of that testing and qualifying.
Okay, nice. Yeah,
Good stuff.
that'll be good.
And that's free, so.
Oh, nice.
Friday's
That's awesome
free.
for fans.
Awesome.
Would that condense the show on Saturday to more just racing and maybe start a little later? I like sleeping.
It might. I don't know. Let me just tell you, we are still working on race courses and working with the surveyor. I have not even begun to start on the schedule yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's a lot of courses to plan. That's 5 different
Yes.
courses.
Yes.
Yeah. So
hey, I will mention this. One thing we're thinking about trying, and I may be spoiler. I hope I'm not spoiler alert with this, and Dana doesn't shoot me. But APBA has been working with a guy who has some buoys that are like digital, and you just send them out with GPS coordinates, and they set within just a few minutes, and then they pull back. And so we're going to try if they'll bring them down. We're going to ask them to maybe test those in Guntersville to see if they would. We can maybe try that with the tunnel course so we don't have as much downtime laying in that tunnel course. Because, the tunnel course will be the one that has to be laid in inside the bigger courses.
Now, how
Wow,
much
that would
would
be
one of
incredible.
those buoys cost to replace?
I don't know.
That
There's so many questions with all this.
That would
Bob's
be,
asking from a lot of personal experience.
that would be the question because I own some $250 buoys from hitting them. So
I don't know.
but these sound a little bit more expensive.
No,
'cause-
if those work, H1 needs those, man.
Yeah,
They
for
can make them
sure.
bigger buies.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
No, that'd be really awesome. So-
It's just the technology. I mean, things are changing. I mean, technology's allowing, might be able to allow us to do something like this where you can reset a course, in 5 minutes versus 30,
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Brandon's talked to you about the GP course, but we need a longer, narrow course, make it more competitive and that would bring the backstretch in more towards the fans a little bit more to be closer. But the course you had for GP last year, it was just way too wide, and it caters to the inside boat. Now, if you make it a long, narrow course, it actually allows the outside boat to have a fighting chance.
And I think Jeff mentioned that to us, and we talked a little bit about it with him and Mike. I think maybe the course that we ran initially, Brandon, do you remember back in like 2019?
Yeah,
I remember that.
Before we widened the H1 course, I think we ran a more narrow course for GP. And so we may be able to go back to that.
Or just make the second turn tighter. Just to,
yeah.
We've been doing a lot of analyzing on different videos and stuff, and like Detroit's course was really good for us. Obviously, Valleyfield's really good for the show. I mean, it's not great for us racers. It makes a challenge for us, but to have a big first turn and then a small second turn where you funnel down and the guy on the inside has to maybe let out. It's more, again, back to the fans thing. You don't want it. Obviously, records and going super fast is cool, but 90% of fans don't really attribute to that. They like to see side by side, deck to deck racing, and that seems to be what we found works.
Like a teardrop course, pretty much.
We should be able to make some changes.
That worked.
Yeah, there was a lot of side by side racing.
What's that?
Yeah.
Me?
That's the year you ran the 35.
There was a lot. That was really good GP racing down there.
Yeah, I had the inside for the final and then blew the engine.
Yeah, I think that's the year I went to the unlimited course with the 14.
Brandon ran the unlimited course.
Yeah, Gary Noonan just brought that up. He said don't get confused with all those buoys, Brandon.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. So bouncing back to the
I
event
love
side.
the picture on the data map.
Yeah, right. so back to the event side. Have you guys ever thought about making it more of a festival with concerts and stuff like Madison and other races do?
So over the course of the last few years, we've tried all different things. We had music in 2019. We brought 3 different bands. We had a Zach Williams, who's a huge Christian artist, on Friday night. And then Saturday night, we had some classic rock bands. And we spent a lot of money on music. And what we saw was that our crowd that was there for the boat races, they left. And they did not come back or stay for the music. They left, went home, ate, whatever, to get ready to come back the next day. Our local audience came to the concert, but only like a couple thousand people. Okay. And within our county, we actually have an amphitheater that seats 8,000. So we just decided, hey, we're just going to be a boat race. And we want people to leave our race and go out into the community and have dinner in our restaurants, go see a concert at our amphitheater, go to one of local venues and listen to live music. We have it at City Harbor. Several restaurants have live music. And let some of our businesses make some money.
The heat could have definitely contributed to that because, you're sitting outside watching boat racing all day.
That's right.
You don't want to stick around any longer than you have to because you're still wore out from the sun.
That's right. And this year, on Friday night of race weekend, our amphitheater will have Little John.
Oh, my.
Do y'all know who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So if you want to go to a concert on Friday night after you've tested, you can. He's 10 minutes away. He'll be at the amphitheater. Him and several other artists. It's our Tacos and Tequilas event. It's a huge event for us every year at the amphitheater. And we're doing some cross-marketing between the race and the concert. But, yeah.
Tacos and tequila awesome. And Little John.
Yeah. Definitely. Might have to get him over to the boat race, get in a boat.
Woo. Yeah.
That's awesome. So are you doing the Thursday night deal down at City Harbor with all the boats again?
Well, we are going to do a pre-party, street party, but we don't think we'll be able to do it at City Harbor because the good news is our hotel is built and is opening probably next month. It's a Home 2 Suites, and it's right there. So we won't be able to block that road because people who are staying in the hotel will need to be able to get in and out of the hotel. Okay. So I think we're going to do it at what we call Lurleen B. Wallace. It's a road that follows the lake. It's across the street from the harbor over by the Chamber building. It's a little cut-through road. Mm-hmm. And we can shut that entire area down, and there is a park over there. The city's got a park there that has restroom facilities and power and a lot of what we would need. And when we get ready to take the boats into the pits from the street party, you would just be able to go right down Sunset Drive and just turn right onto the highway. So I think that's what we're going to do. It is under construction right now, and the mayor has said she thinks it'll be done by mid-April. So if there's no delays and they finish up that construction, that we are going to have it, but that's kind of our plan A. We have some other alternative options in town if that doesn't work. But
nice, yeah, I think that's a big part. It seems like every year it's grown, especially last year. I feel like there was a lot of people for the whole couple hours we were there. That was really cool.
Well, and we want the other boats classes to be able to participate as well. And if, as you remember, I mean, we were nose to nose on that street on both sides, and we couldn't have fit another trailer and boat in there if we had to. And I think moving it over to Lurleen B. Wallace, we'll be able to have all the boats have plenty of space. So.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. boys. I think
that was Mike Grindel's idea, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't give that guy.
You're giving him a big head. You already said he's your favorite.
I mean, I know.
man.
But he said, Katie, you need to have a street party like they have in Key West. And I'm like, okay. So we did.
Yeah.
I don't think ours is near as rowdy as Key West, but
No, probably not.
it has been fun.
You get H1 and
I think
GP to do away with the breathalyzer. We'll make it that rowdy.
Yeah, maybe a Wednesday night party. I think that's what
right.
they do in Key West. It's way early.
Well, they're going to have to do away with it because I'm going to that taco and tequila party.
Well, you can do our street party on Thursday night, and then you can go to tacos and tequilas on Friday.
There we go.
See, she's planning it for me.
Exactly.
We need her to come to every race.
Going to be a long weekend. Remember, Bobby, there's heat there. And it's going to be hot. Well, no, it's early.
No,
So maybe it won't be that hot.
It's going to be like
right.
80.
There you go.
We're good.
We can make it work for 3 days.
Pace yourself.
Yeah. So I think we've asked everything I had on the list, boys. You got anything else to add?
I'm excited for your race this season. You know,
Thanks.
you made some changes, and I think it's for the better. You know, it's going to be cooler. Fans are going to enjoy it more. You're going to have way less downtime on the water, so fans are going to enjoy that more. So us racers are going to enjoy that too, because, you know, as we're working on boats, we do like to watch boat racing while we're working. So I think it's going to be a way better event all around this year, and I'm excited for you.
Thanks, guys.
What about you, Kyle?
I'll double down on the being excited part. I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to be there. Our boat's gonna be racing in Decatur. But I will have the stream on all day to be watching. I just want to add, like, I think it's really cool over the years since you've been back, how you guys look at the things that worked well, the things that didn't work well each year, and you're constantly changing. I think you've pretty much done something different every year since you brought it back, and I think other race sites should take notice of that. It's definitely a really cool event, and hearing some more of the details that we don't necessarily get to see all the time, the economic value to the town. It's cool to see the progress and the actual value that is there in the event.
Appreciate it.
Definitely. So I guess in closing, Katie, what if you were to speak to the fans right now, what would you tell them? Why would you ask them to come to your event? What should they be excited about? And then the wrap up, where do they get tickets for the event? When do they go on sale?
So if you've never been south, Guntersville's the perfect place to come. Guntersville Lake HydroFest is one of the greatest boat races that you will experience. We take care of people when you come to town. You'll have a good time. Tickets go on sale March 1st. So get them quick.
Definitely. And we'll definitely promote and post all the links we can for ticket sales, and appreciate you coming on and giving us a little insight into the Guntersville Lake HydroFest.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Nice talking
Thank
to you.
you. Have a good
Good
one.
to see y'all.
Yep, you too.
Guys,
That was cool.
breaking news. Kyle's internet
Wow.
is still working.
I know. I was about to be like, Bob, we're still live. Calm down.
Oh, I made it through the whole last episode.
No, I'm like sitting here. I'm like, holy crap, Kyle's still here. He hasn't crapped out yet.
Yeah, that is
You know what's
pretty
funny? You two were
impressive.
frozen for me the whole time. Hers was like live and moving fine. You two, until she left, hadn't moved the entire time.
Oh,
Oh my
really?
gosh. I was trying not to move.
So
Yeah, I kept saying something, and I'm like, there was like a second, and I was like, shit.
So that is pretty exciting. You know, they have all these different classes going on. You know, hopefully they take note and change the GP course, because we need better competition on the water. Even though we're going to have great competition with GPs there, I think the most ever, especially Grandel keeps whooping it up in the comment section about how many we're going to have. I think it's going to be really cool, especially moving the date to where it's going to be cooler. I mean, I wanted to enjoy Guntersville. Did I say it right?
He didn't make it through the whole episode.
No, he didn't, bro.
Oh man.
Come
I
on.
wanted, like, I
Kyle
really
some
wanted,
money.
I really wanted to enjoy it there, but when it's
You gotta
so
be
darn
kidding me.
hot, but now that they changed it, that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and like she talked about trying to do the concerts there, and you touched on that. It's so hot. By the end of the day, you're ready to go home, get a
Yeah.
shower, probably go to bed because you don't wore out. And I mean, I was one that was like, man, they should have a festival. But to hear her talk about the economic side of it, to get people into restaurants, get people to enjoy the town, and all these other things, it makes sense not to have a concert for that kind of area. I mean, City Harbor is awesome. It's one of the coolest places that we have around boat racing. So to hop over there, and the hotels are really nice. Like, it's just a really cool area.
Yeah. So, all right.
I think that's it, Bob. We don't talk
So
anymore.
that's
We do
it.
the interviews and we get out.
We're just
That's what
getting
we did
out.
last
That's
week.
it.
Yeah, unless you
Man,
got any
it's not even
hot topics.
It's not even 9 o'clock. There's really no hot topics. I mean, did you guys touch about New Zealand last week or no?
Yeah, we touched a little bit about it.
No,
about
we
the
did.
craziness.
There was
Although
enough
we
touching
talked
down
about it,
there.
Yeah.
You don't need to touch it again then.
about the accidents and
Yeah.
all the bumper boats, and I guess the question is now: will Andrew fly back over to?
It said
NASCAR?
I seen his post and it said part 2 to come or something. Part 2 or so
Yeah,
I'm
it was like
assuming
TBD or
he's
something.
going back down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now here's
The
the
way that thing
question.
was running,
Here's the
I-
question:
I'd
are
wanna
they
go
going to
there.
do everyone in the same lanes for the rerun, or do they have to do requalifying? I don't.
yeah.
What's the protocol for running a final at a different race?
How were those lanes?
Well, they haven't even got through the
established?
first qualifier for the Massport Cup. They ran that
That's
whole
what
1A,
that's what that
and
was.
then
It was just
they
heat
were
one.
rerunning it because there was too many penalties.
Oh,
in the
that was
first
just
one.
the qualifier.
Yeah, because the first one they ran, I think, I forget who won, but I think it was Andrew
Jeez.
that won or something. But there was like lane
Andrew, yeah.
changes.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
jumping the flag start. So they were
See,
rerunning.
I
that
thought
first
that
heat.
was the final that they were
Mm-mm.
rerunning, and then
Nope.
it had an accident.
So did I.
Unless I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Eddie
No,
or TJ
I think
will
you're right
correct
because
us.
I was getting confused by the titles of the videos. It kept saying Heat 1 rerun, and I'm like, I thought this was the final.
Right.
Oh, Kyle Detweiler said, "What about the unlimited moves? Man, let Hydro News take care of that. They're posting something every day. I can't keep up.
Yeah, he's all right.
That was they're posting a new article every day, like from
Yeah,
somebody's different perspective.
I don't even understand it. Are they going to start interviewing people from the
Bob
town to
Hughes,
get more?
probably.
Bob Hughes.
He's in the grave. I don't think
Oh,
they might get a word from him.
Okay,
Man,
Eddie explained it. It's a two heat trophy, just most points from the 2 heats.
Oh, that's confusing. That's silly.
what kind of 2 heat
Okay, but
trophy?
still, how the hell are the lanes established?
I don't know.
I think it was a
Like,
draw.
is it just a draw for both?
I think
heats?
so.
Draw?
Yeah.
Because Ken got nosed. He was way
I was
outside.
about to say it wasn't qualifying.
Andrew
because
had
that would have made
the
no
perfect
sense.
middle row for both heats, so he was in a prime position.
Hmm.
That's confusing, but yeah, the unlimited stuff is insane. We'll
Yeah,
just gonna see how it shakes
all-
out. I mean,
all I
what's
know-
what-
with unlimiteds, at least the new owner, the Apollo owner, he's going to run 2 boats, so that puts another unlimited on the water for this year, which is good
2 fast
because
ones.
because unlimited has been hurting for boat count. Now, I
And
have heard
Graham
rumor.
back.
Yeah, what's that?
And Graham back
And
with
I
the
hear
run.
Graham's coming back out. Rumors rumbling of Bardish coming out with Bert Henderson driving. So I think I mean I don't know if Bardish will go west. Bardish generally stays in Detroit, but I do hear Detroit's not happening this year.
Yeah.
So if Bardish comes out, is it Guntersville and Madison, or is he going to do a West Coast swing? It'd be nice to see O'Farrell come out east. But all in all, there's going to be more unlimiteds on the water this year, which is really good.
You got an easy 7, I think. You got both
Yeah, I
strong,
think so.
both of. Is it Ratchford? Rashford? Is that how you say it?
Sounds good.
Ratchford. Yeah.
Is that his name?
Don't ask Bobby how to
So
pronounce
those
it.
two.
He's said
You
Guntersville
got
like 3 times so far.
You got the 12, you got the 40, and you got the Mercury's Coffee. I mean, that's pretty easy 7 at every race, assuming nobody crashes.
Yeah, definitely the West
Yeah.
Coast will be fine. They'll have a lot out there, and we'll see what travels east. I think everyone likes Guntersville, so a lot of them will travel. Now, what do they do between now that there's a big gap? But I'm sure Madison will draw them in, obviously, with the event they're trying to put on. So
Yeah,
I think it'll be a good show. And you got all fast boats. I mean, even if you got more fast boats than you've ever had with the 40, the two Ratchfords, the two Strongs. I mean that, and then you throw Jamie Lane 1 Nielsen in there to sneak up on everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you got some good boats.
And the
out
boats
there.
are getting faster every year. It seems like.
Yep.
I think all in all, I think just the amount of racing and competition in every class this year is going to be a lot higher. I mean, you have Unlimiteds coming out with more boats this year. You have GPs blowing up in a big way. You know, the 350 support on the West Coast and East Coast sounds like it's going to step up. Just need the IRC to step up with that Honda.
Yep.
I had to mention Honda at least this episode.
So, hey, Kyle Delweiler beat you to it. He said, any Honda news? Yeah.
Oh, any
Yeah,
maybe
Honda
next
we
week.
just asked.
We're hoping to call for a vote next week. Once we got 2 more things to iron out that don't need to be ironed out before you vote on it. But hey, we'll make sure they're ironed out, and we'll get this thing pushed through to a vote.
Yeah, I mean it's a change is needed about years ago, and it's here. So I think the IRC is going to do the right thing. It's in their hands right now. They've been looking at it, going over it. They haven't been sleeping on it. They've been trying to make sure everything's perfect. They don't want to push something through and be like, oops.
Did they?
Did they? Maybe.
I'll tell you
No.
what, I'm getting calls all the time. There's like 5 people building LS motors, so
Man,
it's gonna be exciting, man. It's just awesome. Is it because they're new and they're like, hey man, we're gonna run a EFI? Or do they know something?
I don't know.
I don't know. We're gonna find out though.
I don't know. This is one thing I'm kind of curious about is, you know, with the Hondas, we have a locked ECU, so you can't try to get more power out of these things. With these LS engines, the ECU is unlocked. So you can go in and you can change parameters, you can do this, do that. Now, do these guys know a way to get more power out of these things with it being unlocked and being an LS? I mean, I don't know, because I would say you have going to an LS engine, you open the door to way more engine builders that know about these LS engines, because LS engines in the street racing world is huge.
Yeah.
So,
and they picked the right one. I mean, our engine builder here at John from Alderman Machine said that's a good engine. And I mean, we're kind of looking at options of maybe throwing it in our skiff and playing around with it. Obviously, like they did with the Honda, if you do a lock tune with a restrictor plate or something, you can get the horsepower wherever you want it. So maybe we'll play around, try to update that dinosaur too. You know, we're just here to keep turning over leaves.
Yep, one leaf at a time. It says whatever HRL is buying those old GNH boats. I think HRL only has what 4 or 5 of their Pro V boats for this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think Isaac's gonna run up there with them at a couple times.
Yeah.
And
then you have the old Pocket Mechanic or Blue Water Special, whatever you want to call it. Cal Phibbs is driving that this year, so that's pretty cool to get Cal back on the water.
He's gonna get in that. He's gonna get in that thing and be like, "This thing is so slow."
That's one thing why I don't understand. If I was Cal, I would be like, "You want me to race HRL? Let me bring my 2 hot out, because nothing will touch that thing. That thing is freaking wicked fast for an old wood Staldecker."
I still wish they'd call up Staldecker like HRL would and be like, "Hey, how much to build 5 7 liters?" Like the old style, not like the spider boats, but like the old style with a good cockpit. Bert could build the cockpit, because I heard John doesn't want to build the cockpit, so he'd probably have, I forget the other guy that works with him that starts with D. Anyway, build 5. That's what they did with the GPs, and that's why the GPs have become such a great class. We're all essentially cookie cutter boats now. We all have similar equipment. So that would be the right motto to go to, and maybe over the years save some money this year and have a good valley field this year. Maybe that's a direction they'll head with. And I think if they really want to put it to it, everyone loves the 7-liter class from back in the day, when there was all them Staldeckers, the Bakers, and all them before Vordemeyer and a few others got involved and upped the price. So if they want to build this back to what it was. They have the opportunity to do it. They just need a little bit behind them in the right push.
I mean, if you call up John and you said, I want 5 GNHs like you used to build, and we'll put cells in them, I bet you for $150,000 you can get 5 of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, the cost of 1.5 GPs.
Yeah.
And you could have 5 brand new Staudiker GNHs on the water, and those things were fast. I mean, they were fast back in the day. They'd still be fast now. I mean, look at old Too Hot. I mean, that every time the Too Hot touches the water, I don't care who is there, it is smoking fast.
It wins. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is. It's something about that haul. I mean, you look back. I mean, even the Grand Prix when the old Staudikers were running, they were fast. I mean, like Uncle George says, I'd like to see an old Staudiker haul, a new Staudiker haul, that design, run today and see what it can do. I mean, obviously, you go to a bigger skid fin, help you get through the corner better. But I wonder if it'd still be competitive. You never know.
Yep. Exactly. Be interesting, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it going on in the boat racing world, right?
Well, let's see. The Liddy coach just announced that Grant will be running HRL with the 350.
Yeah, that's right. That's exciting. Yep.
So there's another 350 added.
Boat's nice and red.
I think I seen pictures of with the 350 being built. I have a brain fart right now, and I don't know. Carruthers.
The one that, Carruthers. That's 2.5.
Oh, that's 2.5. Oh,
yeah.
They just look big.
It's
boat
cool.
just looks big with them standing.
It's cool to see all them building a boat again. I mean, obviously they had so many boats back in the 80s, 90s that, like, I know it's a Burt boat, but they're putting it together. They're doing it as a family.
Yeah.
It's got to be really cool to do that again for them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it'll come out fast. It's
getting them all involved.
So I believe
Honda.
Yeah.
Where's Austin with our Honda noise?
So, and then 350s, obviously Bert's driving one. He's finishing building it. So
yeah, the Game On is going to be campaigning two 350s this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's one with Patrick, I believe.
Patrick, I'd imagine, right?
Bert and Patrick. Yeah. Yep. So that's cool. What other news?
The one they were running last year at the end.
There we go. Love that noise. I like Ben LeMay always comments, man, 10 of them things are going to be too loud. I'm like, yeah, we might have to put some mufflers on these things.
So I seen Stephanie Blaine is stepping away from boat racing. I believe that's an HRL boat. And we were thinking about who would get that boat. One, I don't know if his son's old enough, but wonder if Mark Threat's going to grab that thing for his son.
Yeah, Mark drove it, so he would have experience in it.
Yep, that would be pretty cool to get. Bring Threat back to racing.
He was getting air masks looked at and stuff at the banquet.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
All
right, might be back.
There's an indication for him or his son.
You know, Mark, he said, I want to drive still, but I'm like, dude, your son's going to be better. Calm down. Sit down, old man. It's not your time no more.
Oh, man.
He's the one we got to get on this podcast, man. All stories that guy's got. And the about you two hating each other and then coming to be good friends. Like, that's pretty good. Bob,
I forget one season. I don't know what season it was. Somehow I just stayed in Canada all summer, and I was just hanging out with the red at every race.
Probably because you kept crashing the boat and it had to stay at Burt.
Mark's like, he's my adopted son now. Oh man, him and Jimbo. Spicy 7 Up?
Yeah, spicy 7 Up, spicy Coke.
Yeah, that was a hangover from the hell.
Look, Wolf's got his new 350 haul.
Oh, okay. Oh, any word on the old GP25 coming out? That was supposed to come out as the Pro V? Or?
Yeah, I believe they're putting new sponsons on it, is what I heard. But Bert's backed up with a lot of work and had troubles getting resin. I guess resin wasn't available, so he got a little delayed. Got a couple boats in there.
Is that the one that you showed me where they just like cut it in half long ways? Like
well, yeah,
in the
you
middle
knocked
of
the
the cell,
sponsons.
like
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
they
yeah,
cut it. They did.
yeah. It was. I don't think I've ever seen a
think
boat
that's
cut
it.
that way before.
That might have been the other one, the one that just lane crashed,
Other one.
and then we got the
Okay.
cell out of it, or the
Oh,
roll cage
okay.
out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Touch 2.5, 350. Any news from three? Oh, if anyone's interested in a boat, the old dog Nasty.
Yeah.
That thing is
That's for sure.
super cheap. I mean, for you, I think for US, it's like $14,000 or something like that. They want like 20,000 Canadian.
There you go. Get it. Throw an
And
LS in it.
then
go
I know
racing.
Carruthers had a 350 for sale for 10 grand. So I mean, for under $25,000, you can go 350 racing this year. I mean, it's insane. So if anyone wants to put a boat together, that would be ideal.
Yeah. That's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a really good deal. We have the Region 6 dunk test coming up and Region 6 meeting coming up this weekend in somewhere in Ohio. I don't know.
Toledo, I think, right?
That's
Somewhere around
great.
Toledo.
You guys will make it there, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bob's
I'm
not
not.
going.
I'm
I gotta
not sure
drive
if
down.
I'm not sure if I'm going to get my dunk test there or not. I don't know. I probably should.
See if
It's
I
either
can
that
try
or I
not to
have
drop the respirator this time.
It's either that or I have to do it at the dunk test. Not
Yeah.
dunk test. The driving school.
Driving school.
I
You'll
think
be
you should
there
do it at
anyway.
the driving school. It'd be way more
Yeah.
fun.
Right after Dave.
Yeah,
Probably
right after
ferments
Dad.
the cockpit. So I got a funny story about the dunk
Oh
test
yeah.
in Region 4 here. Tom Packardini went before me, and he's in the cockpit, and he's asking. He's like, "All right, so I do the lid, he's going through steps. Okay, I'm ready." Does it? Gets out. Realize he never put the regulator in his mouth. He's like, "Oh, I forgot that." But it's like, you're a skiff driver. You should train that way. You should, if you don't have oxygen, train without it. Make sure you can do this.
I seen a little argument on Facebook the other day. I think someone showed a dunk test and then someone commented that that's not realistic. And I'm like, show me someone who does a dunk test realistic. You mean when you're strapped in, you're strapped tight, and then you roll over and your air is in your mouth? No, go without air. Don't wear a helmet. Get thrown off of a 20-foot diving board into the water and then get out. That'd be more realistic than anything. There's really no realistic dunk test. It just tries to put you through the steps. So when I see people arguing
and say guys like Joe Les should get an exception.
Yes,
right, he's done trained.
They got more training than anybody else. Just
yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, I
Brandon, you're borderline exception.
I was talking about that the other day, like that. You almost want to know in your head that, like, hey, I'm going over. My air is not going to be there. Like, don't trust it. Your system should not fail. But man, when you're in an accident and your head's getting thrown all around and all that shit's flying, like water pressure could hit you if the lid rips off. Like, it's not a perfect environment. So I don't want to ever feel like, hey, I'm good. My air's there. Like, that's the first thing I'm checking if I can't get out. Like, all right, is it there? No. And that's why we put the secondary regulator in the GP. Like, if that air mask is messed up, I at least have something else to grab there while I wait for rescue. And they're going to be there within seconds. And that's one thing Region 4 does with the regulator training, because I feel like every 2 years I forget. He's like, good. Why do you do this? I'm like, I don't know. Why do you do this motion to show us this? He's like, why don't you fight me? I'm like, I don't know, because you're bigger than me. Like, you're there to help.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's all that. And then, like I've said, like what we do in Region 4 with the Ken Smith getting up there and talking every driver, so you can find your zipper, follow it down. Like, that's not just all reaffirmations, whatever the heck the word I'm trying to go for there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I mean, the dunk test is just to put you through the steps. It's not to be realistic. It's just so you go upside down, you do your lid first, your steering wheel, then your belts, just trying to get you through the motions. It's not, I mean, no one is, you can say that this group does it more realistic than this group. No, it's just, it's to get you through the steps. It's all about repetition, because That's how, like, even when you get out of your boat, you should be doing it all in the same motion. Maybe I don't, but you should.
Right.
You should be doing lid, steering wheel, and then your belts. Don't do it backwards, because when you're upside down, you're going to try to do it backwards.
Right.
So, but anyway, so oh yeah, and we got Test and Tune coming up. I don't know when that is. Sorry,
April
Billy.
something.
You
26th
should have,
and 27th
Billy. You
of
should have put
April.
the
maybe 27th
okay,
and 28th.
something like that. It's only that's not too far away, and we still got like 2 feet of snow on the ground up here. It
You
has
ain't
been
got a boat
cold.
that's ready either.
It has been cold up here.
Dang.
It just won't stop snowing.
Mm.
I went to a customer's house, and they have a leak in their roof, and they're like, can you put a tarp on it? I'm like, there's 2 feet of snow on your roof. A tarp's
Yeah,
not
let me
gonna
tarp
help
over that.
anything. I'm like, call me when it's starting to melt. I'll see what I can do.
Jeez.
But yeah, so
I think that's it.
I think that's it. I'd like to keep going, because
Yeah, don't let Bob just find something else to talk about.
just wanna
You
talk
see how
about boat
easy it was
racing.
to get off last week.
find.
Just reaching for things. But yeah, no, we'll discuss, obviously follow our socials. We'll see if we're going to have an episode next week or see what comes up, or if we take a break. We never know. You know, these things are unrehearsed. That's how natural we are. We usually text each other Tuesday morning. Hey, we having a podcast? Yeah, so-and-so's on. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
coming up, we Sean Bowser wants to get on with the Hardy's Highway Decatur race. I think we talked about having Bill walk on.
Yeah, we need to get a boat racer on next week, and we were talking about having some of the novice people on from up in Canada, so that'd be cool to have them on.
It's a good idea.
Try to break up these events. I feel like we got a few event people lined up. We got the one from Visit Hartford, but I want to mix it up, because we don't want to have the same episode week in, week out.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe get them kids on or something.
Yeah, we want to talk about boat racing.
Or someone with drama. Should we have the mayor of Madison on?
Bro. Let's get Charlie Grooms on.
There you go. Yes. Both of them, same time. Don't even tell them they're both coming on. Welcome to Chasing Tails. Hash it out.
Oh,
Kyle
that'd be
Bipes will be
great.
the moderator.
Oh man,
Oh,
that would be
Jesus.
great. Grandel would just grab his
Mandatory
phone and
8
throw it
bush
out of the
lattes
truck when
before
he's
he gets
driving.
on.
Yeah. That'd be a wild
Then
one.
Turn around and run it over again.
Yeah. So we'll figure all that out. But unless y'all have any closing thoughts, let's wrap this thing up.
When I go down to Guntersville,
Yeah.
I just want to keep going down so I can touch the Gulf of America.
There we go.
Yeah,
I bet you that lake somehow leads to the Gulf of America.
America.
Yeah, America.
Oh, with that, everyone, this is episode 39. Hope you enjoyed it. Get a little insight on what goes into putting on a race. Someone that wasn't involved, but they were in the tourism, and Katy Norton put on one of the best H1 races, GP, and now offshore tunnel boats. It's a pretty cool episode, and hope you joined in for all the way to this end, and follow us on social, because we got a lot of cool content coming out. We'll see you next time.
Sweet.
Did you think I was going to say? What did you think I was going to say after Katie got off?
I-
I don't know, but